Hey folks! Tonight, we're diving into a story about greed, lies, and a whole lot of pills. Buckle up because this is a wild ride. It's the story of Purdue Pharma, the maker of OxyContin, and how their relentless pursuit of profit fueled a devastating public health crisis. Purdue Pharma, a privately held company, had a real knack for marketing. They were masters at selling their product. They introduced OxyContin in 1996, a powerful opioid painkiller that was supposed to be a game changer in pain management. Now, opioids are notorious for being highly addictive. This wasn't a secret. It was well known in the medical community. But Purdue, they had other plans. They saw an opportunity to make billions. They saw dollar signs, not danger signs. Their focus was on profit, not the potential for addiction. They marketed OxyContin as this revolutionary painkiller, claiming it was non-addictive. They pushed this narrative hard. Yeah, you heard that right, non-addictive. It sounds unbelievable now, but they convinced a lot of people. They even went around telling doctors and patients that less than 1% of people would get hooked. This was a key part of their strategy. Spoiler alert, that was a big, fat lie. The truth was far more sinister and had devastating consequences. Now here's where things get really messed up. We're talking about a company that knew exactly what they were doing from the get-go. Purdue, they knew what they were doing. They weren't just clueless or naive. They knew darn well that OxyContin was addictive. Internal documents later revealed that they were fully aware of the risks. These documents showed that they had detailed knowledge about the potential for abuse and addiction. But did they care? Nope. They were too busy raking in the dough. The profits were just too tempting to pass up. They spent millions on marketing, sending sales reps out to schmooze doctors and hand out free samples like candy. These reps were trained to downplay the risks and emphasize the benefits. They even targeted areas with high rates of workplace injuries, where people were desperate for pain relief. They knew these communities would be more likely to accept their product without question. They pushed this narrative that OxyContin was safe and effective, a miracle drug for chronic pain. Their advertising was everywhere, convincing both doctors and patients. And guess what? People believed them. They trusted the information because it came from a supposedly reputable source. Why wouldn't they? They were told it was non-addictive by the very people who made it. The trust in the medical community was exploited to sell a dangerous product. Purdue's sales tactics were downright predatory. They encouraged doctors to prescribe higher doses for longer periods. They even had sales quotas and rewarded their reps with lavish bonuses based on how much OxyContin they could push. Talk about a recipe for disaster. Doctors, often overworked and bombarded with misleading information, started prescribing OxyContin like it was candy. And why not? Purdue told them it was safe, but the truth is, they were being played. They were pawns in Purdue's game of greed. The result? Millions of people became hooked on OxyContin, their lives turned upside down by addiction. It wasn't long before the cracks in Purdue's non-addictive claims started to show. And boy, did they show. Section 4. The human cost, lives shattered, communities ravaged. The consequences of Purdue's lies were devastating. Addiction rates skyrocketed, tearing families apart and devastating communities. People lost their jobs, their homes, and their lives. The lucky ones ended up in rehab, struggling to break free from the grip of addiction. The opioid crisis, fueled by Purdue's greed, became a national emergency. It's a crisis that continues to this day, with countless lives still affected. We're talking about real people, folks, not just numbers on a spreadsheet. But hey, at least the Sackler family, the owners of Purdue, were living the high life, right? They amassed billions while people suffered. Talk about adding insult to injury. Section 5. Facing justice lawsuits and the fall of Purdue Pharma. As the devastating impact of the opioid crisis became undeniable, the legal battles began. States and individuals alike filed lawsuits against Purdue, holding them accountable for the widespread addiction and death their product caused. Purdue tried to downplay their role, but the evidence was overwhelming. Internal documents exposed their deceptive marketing practices and their knowledge of OxyContin's addictive nature. The jig was up. In 2021, Purdue Pharma pleaded guilty to criminal charges, admitting to their role in fueling the opioid crisis. They agreed to a massive settlement, but many argued it was a slap on the wrist compared to the damage they had caused. Section 6. The Sackler name, tarnished by greed and deception. The Sackler family, once known for their philanthropy and art collections, became synonymous with corporate greed and the opioid crisis. Their name, once plastered on museum wings and university buildings, became a symbol of shame and disgrace. Protests erupted, demanding they be held accountable for their actions. Museums and institutions faced pressure to remove the Sackler name from their walls. The family's reputation lay in ruins, tarnished by their pursuit of profit over human life. The fall of Purdue Pharma and the public shaming of the Sackler family serve as a stark reminder of the consequences of corporate greed and deception. Section 7. The Price of Lies, a cautionary tale of corporate greed. The story of Purdue Pharma and OxyContin is a cautionary tale about the dangers of corporate greed and the importance of holding those in power accountable. This narrative is not just about a company, but about a system that allowed such greed to flourish unchecked. It's a reflection of how profit can sometimes overshadow human lives and ethical considerations. It's a story about the human cost of addiction and the devastating impact of lies. Families torn apart, lives lost, and communities devastated. The ripple effects of these actions have been felt far and wide, leaving a trail of heartbreak and suffering. It's a reminder that we can't always trust what we're told, especially when it comes to powerful corporations with deep pockets. These entities often have the resources to manipulate narratives and evade accountability, making it crucial for us to remain vigilant. We need to be critical thinkers to question the motives behind the messages we're bombarded with. Scrutinizing the information presented to us is essential in a world where misinformation can easily spread. And most importantly, we need to remember that behind every statistic, every lawsuit, every headline, there are real people whose lives have been forever changed by this crisis. Their stories are a testament to the need for compassion and justice. The scars of the opioid crisis run deep, a lasting reminder of the price of lies. These scars are not just physical, but emotional and societal, affecting generations to come.